Attention gamers. If you've never opened up the shop typed tit and bought the first thing that pops up when playing this counting psychopath, then you are missing out, because there is secret tech with this item that revolves around Jin's revolver. Jin's auto attacks hit like a truck, but you can't speed them up, and by the time you get close to shouting that euphoric 4, everyone is prepped, puckered, and not sticking around to know how that feels. For example, you can see while laning this, Kanye wants nothing to do with me as I'm sitting on my 4th shot, but then the second I bust my finale nut, he wants to get all cozy again, and seeing as everyone can see what shot you are on, it helps enemies play around your burst, but that's why whispering tit into the shopkeeper's ears is so good. The active on this item also acts as an instant auto attack reset, which means with 2 shots in the chamber you can throw off enemies with a surprisingly fast 3-4 McGregor before they can react. So instead of showing 4th shot when trading with enemies, you show your 3rd until you bust a double shot, with the added bonus that the Titanic Hydra also buffs the damage of the 2nd shot, which allows you to fit a lot of damage into a small unexpected window. Not to mention the extra tankiness is a perk, plus your AD scaling is so insane that rushing this item and throwing a Dirk in as a cherry on top is enough to eat a half health Caitlyn in one bite. And bam, we're into it just like that. 2 champs mid who don't belong mid, both on life support, and it's gonna come down to which dumbass wins the who's greedier competition. Ding ding ding, Kanye jumps in the lead only to get baited like a jizzing incel in his mom's basement, and I just barely survive. At this point I've been mumbling numbers at this jungler identifying as a mid all game, and every time I round 3rd he's playing 2 screens back, so I thought it was weird when he volunteered his tribute to mukbang a 4 to the face, only to learn it's because some crying midget wanted to get a sniff of my ass, and while my initial thought was I'm both oomed and doomed, it turns out these kids were just working together to help increase my personal wealth. I earned 1 paycheck as the armless band-aid got cold feet, crying and running away as I lined up 1 thin beam to give myself the bluest of balls as he survived with maybe 6 health. That sobbing midget just refused to leave my lane, but luckily I had a weaponized grasshopper in the area who was all for a quick double date, and you know what they say, 3 is a crowd but 4 brings you back to a crowd, or something like that, so we won that encounter and I chased the wall hacking hobo out away from the crime scene. This unlocked the coveted tit. And I immediately got to practicing the combo on some unsuspecting hoodlums, and then I was ready for my first test on a real human. As you can see, little Kanye wasn't too timid to walk up for once, because I was showing 3 not 4 until surprise attack right down his pie hole in a trade that felt borderline illegal. He had to hit up a pokey center like the pussy he was, but seeing as I could skip one of my reloads I could take towers approximately 8% faster, so add that hidden benefit to your notepads, kids. Turns out he wasn't backing, he was off looking for Bigfoot or something and got lost deep in dangerous territory, so I decided to be a good Samaritan and help him find his way back to base by hardcore butchering a combo that takes 2 buttons and 3 brain cells, but it worked out because that was 3 more than this Kanye had. It's worth noting it was around this point where I showed up for a blind date with a chick a year younger than me, but she was aggressive and greedy, so I had to abuse the fact that I'm slightly more tanky than other guys my type, because I'm more of a tits guy, and I survived that catfish. It was a minute later where I got caught treating the enemy chickens like a urinal that left me 1 bard's fart from donating a shutdown, but I tiptoed to safety, zoomed way out, and proved that accuracy is a privilege in today's day and age before showing that 1 tank item in a Dirk is enough to erase a mall cop from your sight in 2024. In this next play I would like to demonstrate why you should try this in your own games, because if I didn't combo slower than Snoop Dogg's pet sloth I would have had a fat double shot for the kill here. Anyways, we were sieging their base like Dr. Disrespect sieges a quote-unquote total legal conversation with a chick half his age who isn't his wife, when I get the best idea to zoom out and get a better view of people dying in front of me, and after an embarrassing performance out of Mr. 3 I had to regroup, refocus, and reindustrialize the 21st century of America. Turns out I couldn't stop thinking about my first date with fencing Felicia, so now I'm the pathetic one chasing some tail while she wants nothing to do with me, and all I wanted was to be able to properly display my combo by busting a surprise nut too early on a second date, but it turns out I'm just too strong, so she was left satisfied from just the long ween. Then a minute later we are just more overextended than my mom's line of credit in 2012. Sorry mom, I wanted all those Lux skins. As you can see, I busted my nut too early on the bust your nut too early combo, doing it on the wrong shots, but by some miracle off screen I got the kill still, and then there's no point in me showing the details of my own death, as that would dig directly into my Rift ego that I care so much about preserving. So let's instead talk about how this win was easier than taking a dump after deep throating 80 grams of Miralax, and it totally had nothing to do with my team's Garen. But if you are interested in what's going on with that champ, there's this great video called The Garen Epidemic that I highly recommend you click and like and comment. But it was at this point where I figured we should test drive the old tit in the bot lane. You see, I once had an old mentor who said a man performs way better in the presence of banging hot women. He was a perv and died of AIDS, but I figured it may be worth trying this with a Lux support. As you can see, my first thin beam on a snared target had perfect accuracy before I slowly and methodically counted to 4. Floaty fuck hit a flash to avoid a fatality, and I wanted to throw the towel in on this whole homicide attempt, but Lux was going for MVP status, so I figured I'd be a perfect gentleman by purposely missing the kill shot so she can feel accomplished. But listen up here dudes, this whole missing your shots on purpose to make a girl feel good about herself can't go on forever, so what I immediately did was decide to miss 2 more, but that's it. Every shot after that was going to be square between the eyes to show off my dominance. Because the problem with giving this blonde too much confidence is that she'll start getting a little too daring, and before you know it some booger-haired Subway surfer will be on her like ass on grass, and because of the societal pressures of a man defending his woman you'll end up taking all the hits, which will hurt like a motherfucker, all while she's out there living her best life. Now your bad aim is authentic because you are wounded and leaking out of your punctured ass crack, and clearly that grandfather clock has incredibly bad intentions as he is zooming, looking to be cooming at the sight of my 10 health limping body. But little does he know I'm ready to bait him only for him to bait me harder, and in the end of all this bullshit the lady that I was supposed to protect ends up taking a bullet in the form of a firm handshake for me before dying, and then if I wasn't emasculated enough a goddamn Jack Spartan comes in to save the day in front of everyone, as all I can do is send a few long bombs from a distance. But enough of this bullshit, I'm the man of this house and it's about time for me to act like it, as I stole the credit, and the smell of blood from that kill for this manly man was going to unlock a whole new beast that would knock the chastity belt straight off of the banging blonde in lane I was trying to impress. And I guess that performance gave her the confidence to know that I didn't need her help, as she let me fend off the next fuckfest myself, while definitely not typing that she was gonna give me that kill anyways as some charity bullshit, as I busted a nut on an unkillable target and he ended up getting away. But here's the thing, all jokes aside, there was a reason for every missed ult up until this point, as I'm a calculated man, but there comes a time when I have to just be myself and stop playing the pussy politics in lane.
You are now in the presence of a
It was now at this point where I had the Titanic Hydra secured and a bit more AD in the bank account, so after another dramatic Jesus Christ impersonation I hit a slow, slightly flawed tit combo on the clock, but it was tough because I had to throw a flash in the middle there, but I was determined to pull it off correctly, so when Dumbledore's left nut contested me I showed it off to perfection with a 3-4 get some more combo under his tower. It's worth noting that Broken Blade himself did come down trying to clean up these scraps. His sword more erect than Lux's dick after seeing her man pull off a flawless combo as she tied him up, and we did dirty things to the tied up Zelda. We packed our bags and took this party mid because that's where all the kills were, and when Vagar looked at my girl he already know he was about to get an ass whoopin' as I hit him with a seat belt and complemented a titty laser with another combo. Sure enough, Zillion had to be a world record sized cock block, but let me repeat, I was done missing skill shots at this point. So all in all, I'd like to make some concluding remarks as you see me just rampage my way through the remaining anuses on the enemy team that I didn't get the privilege of knowing until we were signing the lease on their base, because they sure as hell didn't own it anymore in our presence. When you play this whore of a 4-man you need to stop playing around and actually listen to my hard stuck silver elo ass if you want to add some spice into your rhythmic counting, because no one, and I repeat no one, will be ready for those 4s to be popped out of the oven with such urgency, and if you are like me, performing this way is a signed, sealed and delivered way to impress some sweaty dude playing Lux as your support who you have built a whole storyline around being in love with, and that, my friends, is the Jhin combo that no one is talking about. Teeth brush them, Rav out.